Good afternoon and welcome to the marketplace. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, ratings agency Fitch projects that Ghana would move out of the sovereign default by July 2025. We'll be speaking with Professor Peter Quartey for more insights on this development. Also, some oil marketing companies commenced reduction in prices of petroleum products, with petrol selling at 14 cedis 64 pesos and diesel going for 15 cedis 45 pesos. We'll bring you more insight on this. My name is Winston Taki. Now let's bring you an update on how the Ghana cedi is faring against major global currencies on the currency market. Now let's bring you our first business story. Some of the country's donor partners and rating agencies are worried that current prudent spending may not exist after the December elections and the IMF program. These concerns came up during a recent investor meeting between the government and these partners. My colleague George Wiafe has more in this report.
For some of these partners, their fears had been influenced by the true picture of government spending that emerges post-general elections, as well as any time that it exits an IMF program. That is why they want government to implement more stringent measures that would help check its expenditure in addition to other measures that has already been implemented. Some of these rating agencies were worried that it might be forced to review Ghana's ratings from January next year. This is because they are actually working to carry out fresh reviews on Ghana's economy in the coming days. Others are also worried about the state of Ghana's economy post an IMF program and whether any government that will be in office at that time will continue with those policy reforms aimed at firmly stabilizing the economy. That is another concern that has come up strongly in this investor meeting that we have gathered. For some of these donors, they are still not convinced that government will continue to implement measures that would help to firmly stabilize the economy and give some real meaning to the projections from these multilateral institutions about some exciting times for the economy going into next year.
So, rating agency Fitch has revealed that it will move Ghana out of sovereign default by July 2025. This will be influenced by government completing external debt restructuring by the end of June next year. Let's go on Zoom and speak to economist Professor Peter Quartey for more insight on this development. Hello, Prof. It's good to see you.
Hello.
Great, great. Prof, will you describe this news as welcoming and also as one of the benefits of the government's external debt restructuring that has come up?
Yes, certainly. I mean, if you see how gradually we've negotiated with the external creditors to try and reduce the debt GDP ratios, I think it really shows that gradually our debts are moving into the sustainable thresholds, and therefore, if we're able to continue on that trajectory, then certainly we'll be able to meet the standards. The IMF in this program with Ghana targeted a debt GDP ratio of 55%. in the medium term, although currently we are around 76%. I believe by mid next year, when we conclude all the negotiations, we'll be able to reduce this further and be able to move in gradually towards the sustainable threshold.
Prof, what could be the impact of this on investor confidence and probably the larger impact on the economy as a whole?
Well, as we have, we are able to reduce our debt profile, we are able to reduce our debt, that would translate into also a stable macro environment. And that obviously helps in attracting investors. Investors look at quite a few things. They look at how stable your economy is in terms of the macro indicators, whether there's even demand for their products, and whether their money itself, their investment is safe, be it exchange rate fluctuations, be it inflation, and be it security. Above all of that, Ghana has a decent democracy, peace and stability within the sub-region. Ghana ranks very high when it comes to peace and stability. So these are all things that investors look at. Then, of course, even our location itself, we're able to be connected with the rest of the world. Ghana is directly lying on the equator. You could travel to other parts of the world easily from Ghana. So investors actually choose us as our destination. What we have to do is to make them stay. What do we do to make it sustainable? Make investors come, invest, and remain, and not leave the country. That should be our concern. And I believe if we're able to pursue this IMF program and even thereafter the program, we're able to sustain this, then we are in a good situation, a good position.
All right, Prof. Is that an indication, based on this announcement, that we're on a path or on the road of no return, a situation where we'll never likely experience another set of restructuring, looking at the trajectory that we are headed towards?
Yes, we are on that path, but that's we need to prove in these elections, January, when we see the figure, the true state of the economy, through the figures, the fiscals, then we can tell whether we don't renege, we don't go back to our old days where we have this political business cycle. Each election year, towards the latter part of the year, we tend not to meet the targets. But so far, I think the indicators are good. The figures are clearly pointing towards us being fiscally prudent. But again, as I said, it depends on what the figures will look like in November, December, and what we're able to see come January next year.
Prof, briefly, let's move away from this particular issue now, because the first half of this year's FDI, that is the Foreign Direct Investment Report released by GIPC, showed that China is the leading source of investment for Ghana. Does this insight or data surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because when it comes to trading, you find that we import a lot from China. China has been a major, the top 10 import sources is China. It's rather unfortunate that our export, when you look at our export destinations, China doesn't feature in the top 10. But the Chinese investors actually like Ghana, just like other investors, because we have a relatively stable macro environment. Our democracy is quite good in terms of doing business. I think gradually we have improved over time, and it's easier for Chinese investors to engage with us, given the security they find with their investments and the environment. So I'm not too surprised to find that. What we have to do is to take advantage of the Chinese presence, that it becomes a win-win situation. Oftentimes, we give too much for investors, foreign investors, at the expense of local investors. So let's position ourselves so that we also benefit from the Chinese investors. They transfer knowledge and they transfer capital. They come in with the resources, and then be able to train locals, be able to partner with Ghanaian investors so that we can also grow the economy. We don't want a situation where, yes, it's good for them to come and make profit, but some of the profits should remain in the country. They should also impact knowledge. Thank you.
Prof, you mentioned the case of positioning. I want to understand from your angle, will you see this move as a prudent one in the case of diversifying our sources of FDI? Currently, what the data is reflecting doesn't look like what we're talking about.
Yeah, diversification is key, but then you want to go to sources where you benefit most. So, I mean, given that China is moving in, it means others will also look at other developing emerging countries will also move in if they find that China is making inroads and their investments are stable. Even investors from the West will look at what current investors are benefiting from Ghana. You know, so yes, diversification is key, but what we have, the point is, let's run with what we have. Let's make the best out of what we have currently.
But before let's go, if you want to, surely you've had some research done on the current, or you observe how the city has been performing on the global market and domestic market as well. What do you make of the city's performance also? And per your assessment, can it be sustained going into the first quarter of 2025?
You know, I think I like the way the Bank of Ghana is intervening as and when it's necessary. Of course, also carefully guarding forest reserves. This gold for reserves program itself is also helping. And then, you know, ensuring that banks and other financial institutions respect the exchange regulations. These are all helping because you know that close to December, that is where we import a lot. And especially in an election year, political parties import some of the paraphernalia and many other things. So there's a lot of pressure on the exchange rate. When we get to January, the first quarter, that is when companies will also try to send or repatriate profit. So these are very high intense forest demand seasons. And therefore, what we are seeing is good. At least it's bringing some stability to the market, fuel prices and non-food prices, etc. will gradually stabilize. But we need to sustain this in the first quarter of the year when there's still pressure, when investors would like to repatriate profit, etc. This ought to be sustained.
Great. Professor Peter Quartey, we appreciate your time here on the marketplace. Now, some oil marketing companies have started reducing prices of the petroleum products. The move is in line with two-week review of the prices at the pumps. There is more in this Business Desk report.
Industry giant GOIL has taken the lead, selling a litre of petrol at 14 Ghana cedis 35 pesos, representing 29 pesos drop from the old price. Diesel, on the other hand, was kept unchanged, selling a litre at 15 Ghana cedis 45 pesos. More oil marketing firms are also expected to review their prices from today, in line with development on the international market. However, many will be looking forward to the margin of reduction at the pumps. It is because, based on market development, many were looking forward to some significant reduction in prices of petroleum products at the pumps.
So we go straight to the Institute of Energy Security, speak to Derek Emmanuel, an economist, a research and policy analyst at the IES, for more insight of this. Hello, Imam. What is your assessment of the recent price reduction by some OMCs as at the second review of the month?
All right, good afternoon and thanks for the opportunity. So basically for the second price window for November, prices at the various pumps have seen some reductions between 2% to 3%. Basically at the back of international price drops. So on the international market, if we take that of gasoline or petrol, you see that it has seen some 6.42% reduction. And then for LPG, it also saw 0.11%. But which is diesel, it went up a little, about 0.19%. But when you combine that with the currency effect, that is the currency depreciation, you realize that the currency also depreciated by 1.48%. And so the combined effect of these two major policies, or these two major factors, that is the international market price and then that of the exchange rate, you realize that for the second pricing window for November, specifically petrol or gasoline, we're supposed to see some reduction as well as that of LPG. But for diesel or gas oil, we expect some stability at the various pumps.
Emma, are these prices likely to persist in the coming weeks as we enter into the festive season?
Well, for the factor that I've earlier made mention of, that is the international prices or the international market and that of the exchange depreciation, we only hope for things to remain stabilized or for us to see the continuous reduction at the various pumps. We expect that the currency will be able to improve, and so we don't expect depreciation again. We expect some sort of appreciation, or even the rate of depreciation should be able to reduce. Now, on the international market, we basically do not have any control over that. What determines the prices there is the forces of the demand and supply, and that of the geopolitics, which we do not have control over. And so we can wake up tomorrow, there can be an international factor, and prices will drop drastically, or prices will increase astronomically. But what we have control over is the stability of the currency. And so going forward, if the currency can appreciate, then basically what even happens on the international market will not have a much significant effect at the various pumps.
What difference will the 0.11% reduction in LPG make possibly for consumers who are currently being called for the price adjustment?
And so for LPG, or people who make use of LPG, some people use it for transportation, some people use it for domestic usage and other industrial uses. If in the petroleum sector, a 1% reduction translates into something significant. You might not value it, but if you look at even petrol, for example, you saw 29% reduction. That 29%, if you had to buy a gallon of it, if you have to buy almost 30, 40, 50 liters, you can see how much that would translate into in terms of the quantum of money. And so for LPG people, that is a good news, because one thing that has impeded the usage of LPG is the cost of it. And so people have now resorted to the use of other alternatives, which is the charcoal, firewood, and others. And so at this current period, where we expect some reduction in the price of LPG, then we should expect its consumption to increase. And if consumption increases, then it means that we are also more or less protecting the environment. And so that is the case for consumers of LPG.
All right, Emmanuel, we appreciate your time here on the marketplace. Now let's bring you some statistical related issues in the world of business. Now, the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, is cautioning against the formulation of policies which is not backed by data. According to him, the implementation of interventions by government may fail to lead to its expected outcome if the country does not make data-driven decisions. Speaking at the 2024 Africa Statistics Day, Professor Samuel called for improved collaborations between state and private companies and the Statistical Service to improve the country's data bank.
Our communication today is underscoring four things. One is, if we continue to make decisions at the national level and at the regional level, and we are not focusing on granular data, it inhibits our ability to achieve the success that we want. The second information that we're putting out there is that historical data, in this case education, should be the basis for forming decisions post-2030 when the education strategic plan has ended. So historical data are critical. The third issue that we've put out there is that private institutions, other MDAs hold a lot of data set, and today we've demonstrated it, and we are calling on all MDAs to come join Ghana Statistical Service so that we can have a pool of data that sits on the Statistical Online Bank to inform the success of current policy interventions. And lastly, we are advocating that we should have sector-specific statistics, and we are hoping that come 2025 calendar year, all government ministries, departments, and agencies will submit to Ghana Statistical Service the basic minimum data that they need as a sector to guide the data production and harnessing that we are doing as a service.
Now, the CarBank PLC is on a campaign to encourage more women-owned businesses in Ghana to participate in foreign trade. Women-owned businesses constitute 44% of Ghana's economy, but remain largely uncompetitive on the global stage. However, head of Women's Banking, Portia Menubuafo, believes the narrative could change if they receive the necessary support. She spoke to Joy Business at the final leg of the CarBank Trade Summit in Dubai.
The trade summit, held in two cities, Istanbul, Turkey, and Dubai, UAE, is an initiative of CalBank's Women's Banking Unit aimed at giving women entrepreneurs opportunity to network, access market opportunities, and move their businesses to the next level. Portia Menu-Boafo is head of women's banking at CalBank PLC.
A lot of the women within Ghana in the MSME space are actually trading, and so most of them are buying from Turkey, most of them are buying from Dubai, most of them are buying from China. So what can we do to support them is generally to facilitate this trade. So we have identified suppliers within these regions, we have identified manufacturers within these regions, and then also identified our business women who are really interested in doing trade. And so we bring them to Turkey and Dubai to meet these manufacturers. At the same time, after the meeting, we take them to their factory so that they can actually see the good things that these people are doing. For the Ghanaian companies, you would have to look at the manufacturer that you are interested in, depending on the quality that they are giving to you. If it's something that you are interested in, then it means that we are moving the business to the next level. So we as CalBank will help facilitate this and then help you with your negotiations as well.
The women entrepreneurs were taken through digital solutions uniquely and creatively designed by the CalBank Women's Banking Unit to meet their financial needs, offering concessionary rates, flexible collateral arrangements, and a quick turnaround time. The engagements build on previous B2B successes which have helped Ghanaian businesses secure international contracts and partnerships.
I would say that it's been fulfilling. What I expected with what I've gotten so far, I think it's one of the good things I've done as a businesswoman. You know, in Turkey, I met a few people who intend when I go back to Ghana, I'm going to really sit down and put things together and then get back to them. And I'm looking forward to a good business. And in Dubai, I feel Dubai is home because it's really a global hub where you get to learn new things, get to add on to. And so, yeah, that's it. I think it's really fulfilling.
So I'm here looking for prospective investors, people who partner with me in terms of pharmaceutical to do imports because I have a retail and a wholesale outlet that I want to expand. And also with the school, looking at linking up to other school for exchange program, partnership, opportunities for the children who attend the school and other things. That is why I came to Dubai for this trade summit.
To address the many challenges that women entrepreneurs face, CalBank PLC established a women's banking unit in November 2018 with the core mandate of identifying, developing, and promoting women-owned and women-led businesses.
Now, the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization is expanding its Girls in ICT initiative to reach more young females across the country. The ministry is seeking to empower 1,000 young girls in each of the 16 regions in digital literacy skills for economic boost. The initiative is to build a pool of female human resources that will improve the country's economy through digitalization.
For Communication and Digitalization, Esla Osu Ekufo visited 5 senior high schools in the Ashanti region to inspire and engage young girls to venture into the ICT field. Her mission is to challenge the status quo of projecting ICT as a domain reserved for boys, as she set out to equip young girls with the requisite skills to thrive in a rapidly digitalizing world. The Girls in ICT initiative evolved from a one-day event into a comprehensive 2-week program, ensuring a more profound impact which provides participants with hands-on training, mentorship, and exposure to opportunities in the tech space. The ministry is also upscaling its initiative to empower 16,000 girls in ICT across the country while ensuring inclusivity.
Justify ICT education for girls. Traditionally, we've raised our children to think that anything technology, science, mathematics is almost exclusively reserved for boys, and that girls don't do well in those subjects. So we steer them towards the soft courses, the arts and subjects, and leave the boys to do science. But we want to demystify ICT education for girls. The whole world is going digital. And for our young girls also to be able to compete on the national and the global stage, they have to be given the right skills. And so we expanded the scope of the Girls in ICT program from a one-day event to a 2-week event. We train 100 teachers in every region so that they can go back to their schools and teach, enrich the ICT courses that they're teaching in their schools. We train 1,000 girls in each region and drawn from every district in the region so that at the end of the competition, the best 100 all get their own laptops and the best 10 get computer laboratories for their schools. And after just 1 week's instruction, the girls are building their own websites, creating games, animations. They're comfortable with cybersecurity. They've been given some cyber hygiene training and all of that.
The Young Girls in ICT program has empowered participants by equipping them with the skills to create their own games, fostering creativity and innovation. Through hands-on training, they have also gained valuable insight into mobilize.
That's all for business here on the marketplace. For more update, visit myjoyonline.com/business for more update as well. My name is Winston Taki. Thanks for watching. Have a good business day. Bye-bye.